myself, and like just to see like different people in the band scene grow. Like talk about Darren and stuff, and now they're like real witnesses. Like I think of like the leadership that's grown up. Like you think of all the leaders in the band and the type of Christians they are now in the church.
Absolutely.
All the different roles that they're.
I guess time sorts out those who want to be rock stars and those who want to serve. It's true. I think if you've got a servant's heart and a vision, then look at Steve Rowe. He's still going. Nearly died from cancer, and he's still got the vision and he's still powering on. And same with Darren. And he's keeping pretty true as well. There's no pretense about him. I can just walk up to him and talk to him in the street, and he's just another guy. That's the way it should be. It should be like that.
Alright. Describe just like some of the big achievements. Like, so you might want to talk about Harold or like some of the main achievements coming out.
What was that? Some of the big achievements. I think when we did Mosh Against Leukemia, that was a particularly big one.
Because a lot of cash.
Yeah, we raised $1,500 for Steve Rowe, and I think it was Greg that prayed at one particular part, and there was this incredible hush over the whole group of people. We had a pretty packed night, and you could just feel the atmosphere. It's like...
What bands were playing?
Well, we had...
Ethereal Scourge and Embodiment.
Yeah.
Sarah Scoll's first gig, that's what I was talking about.
Sarah Scoll. Can't remember the rest, but it's a pretty good lineup.
Well, it was about 6 bands overall.
Yeah, and so that was a big impact, and Steve really got touched by that we would go to that extent as well. I think there were other things that, not such big things that happened that were obvious like that, but I would get some youth pastors tell me that they know that some of the kids that got saved in the youth group, a lot of it had to do with them coming to the underground. Because I used to advertise to all the youth groups and to the high school chaplains, and so the youth groups would come with the leaders would come with their Christian kids, and then the kids would bring their friends along, and they'd come into this environment that isn't churchy at all, yet the lyrics are full-on Christian lyrics, and it's in such a fun, active environment, and it just really helped them in their process of getting saved. So youth leaders would be really would be encouraging me quite a bit to keep going with what I was doing. Some of the high school chaplains said that the only contact that some of their kids have with the Christian scene is the underground every time that's on. One particular Uniting Church minister used to bring his son along, and his son had mostly non-Christian friends, and he was on the fringe of the church, and his friends were, not even in the church, but they would be quite happy to come along to the underground. And so he saw that as a really good ministry to them, and help them while they're on that fringe to still be in good contact and be ministered to throughout the night and help keep them on track. So those sorts of things are huge highlights to me.
I think achievements, great achievements, I think, no brawls, no fights, always a great atmosphere.
Our incident was... We had one incident.
All right, I'll never do it again.
And somebody brought in this box of sloppy dough, chucked it at one of the bands as a payback joke for something that they did, and I ended up with this sticky dough all over the carpet and on the curtains, and that was our incident. And
how will we ever recover from that?
I don't know, man. We'll play about it.
Yeah.
Dirty that carpet on stage. Terrible.
So that, for a band scene over years and years and years, nearly 10 years, not to have a fight, to be a safe place that whole time, I think that's a great achievement. And,
everyone talks.
Do you want to swap shirts? Sure. Can I pick it up? We don't want to see your crotch, man. Put your legs down. We don't want to see your crotch.
Well, I've never seen it in this. With the change of leadership and that sort of thing. Because then when I took it back on and introduced the no swear policy, because on that big night, two bands.
Yeah.
One that changed its lineup of songs, that did full-on swearing, and then another one that was a secular band that I never knew before, but the other guys were bringing them in, and I thought, oh, they must be okay if these guys are bringing them in, and they full-on swore.
Yeah.
And I had like crowded to absolute capacity, and I had one of the chaplains who's been the longest chaplain in South Australia brought his 80+ youth group along.
Is that Sam?
That was Sam Thompson.
Yeah, that's where.
All right.
That's our home base.
All right. And then also I had Scott Parslow was there, who does Raw Magazine, and Hayden Lush, who's one of the chaplaincy coordinators from Schools Ministry Group, was there. So I had all these key people there, and all these Christian kids.
And the swear bear has to turn up.
And the swear bear was there, and I was just really stressed out.
Yeah.
And so then I introduced that no swear policy, and then the guys who were organising the lineups didn't want to ostracise some of the secular bands that it was innate, and they couldn't stop what they were doing, and I said, well, I guess the underground just isn't for you then, and they were cool about it. The bands were cool about it, but the other guys weren't too cool about it that were doing the lineups, and so they said, okay, we won't do any more lineups at the underground. So I said, okay. So I thought, well, things would go back to usual, go back to once a month. And then everyone started ringing me. Bands would start to ring me wanting to do a lineup. And so I just said, okay. So I'd had a Christian secular mix. And it then continued on being every week. So what we started off as underground gig from the underground church, being once a month, then quadrupled and went to every week. And now I'm getting Friday and Saturdays, and I'm trying to not do 2 on the weekend because it's a lot of work. But I don't like to knock people back because I'm getting booked out now up to 2 months in advance and sometimes more. So I just don't have to do any advertising more because all the bands do the advertising. They promote it through their network, and we just get really good turnouts.
Yeah, so the turnout's going okay then?
Yeah, we're getting 150 to 200.
Yeah.
It's good.
Alright, do you
get
want to talk about that secret show, Sarah Skull Balaclava? Get into that.
That's Andrew's.
Well, I can say a little bit. I went there, all right, and Andrew didn't let me in because he said it was full. And I brought a friend as well. He wouldn't even let me in.
You were too
I
late.
just want to say that.
Didn't get in.
Nah, didn't get in.
Because I heard everyone.
You have to learn to forgive.
I'm
How did
trying,
it
man. I'm
work?
trying to let it go,
Forgive,
man. I'm trying to
forgive.
let it go.
How did word get out?
I'm sure the guys in Sarah's Cole let it leak somehow.
Yes, guys.
Was it them? Who
It was,
knows?
well, the Christian band scene was still strong. The network is really strong. And when you're saying that the band Balaclava is really Sarah's Cole, then that really spreads. Because if Sarah's Cole did a show here, like if you had 1 week to advertise Sarah's Cole, this place would be packed out and people would be lined up, and I'd have to turn people away like last time. Sarah's Cole still has a huge pull. If they were to reform, they'd easily have 400 people here, no worries. And if you did a Friday, Saturday night, you'd probably pack it out both nights. It's amazing. So that was the huge pull then. So, and I had to turn people back, turn people out. I did it had as many people as I possibly could, and then I just still had to say no.
When were they lining up?
I came a bit late. I got to see him a little
Way
bit
too
at the
late.
counter, just like that, so I saw a little bit, but it was absolutely packed. It was jam-packed, yeah.
And so and basically it was the leading Christian band that had busted up, and for the sake of being the support band to someone doing a CD launch, then they brought in a huge crowd.
Alrighty. Future goals for the underground.
Future goals. As far as the live band scene goes, what I want to do is, because I've had the secular Christian mix, I haven't had dedicated Christian ministry nights. I guess mainly because it wasn't now the underground church that was putting it on, and so would change the nature of what we're doing. But what I want to get back to now is to have at least one dedicated night a month where it's a Christian lineup. And really, ideally, I'd like to. And if the Christian bands were to get together and form and get out there and practice and play, then they'll get prominence again. So that's probably the main thing. I did have a look at doing dance, and I will in the future do some dance, because there's also a need for there to be a safe Christian dance scene, a dance venue, because there's not much for Christian kids to go to. Basically, if you want to go to a dance night, it's either the blue light for the younger teenagers, or it's the secular venues. And it's not a good scene. The dance scene in the secular venues is not good. So the underground, there's no fights, there's no alcohol, there's no drug scene, and it's not a sleaze venue. So this is probably an ideal place to do it.
Cool. Do you want to talk about Operation Canaan? Yeah.
What would you like me to talk about Operation Canaan?
How did Operation Canaan come apart? Like, what is it?
Basically, basically the Holy Spirit spoke to me. Yeah. Basically,
That's right, they think we're in a band.
Rock stars. Basically, the Holy Spirit spoke to me and said I was a part of the underground at that stage, and I really felt God say, I want you to step out. Not that it was bad or anything, but need some prayer behind the whole thing. So he wanted me really to create a prayer ministry to pray for the Christian bands, pray for the whole Christian music scene, because as you know, really the whole music scene went down, and there was a lot of disunity throughout the whole scene. So our main aim was really to get bands together once a month and would pray for them, and would pray for the music scene, and through that it just absolutely flourished, obviously because prayer works as well. And I think it was the start of last year, God spoke to me and said, I want you to put on a Muso conference. So as a team, we put the Muso conference, we had it here at the Underground, and it really brought a lot of the Musos back together. And the wonderful thing was it brought unity again. I think a lot of people's hearts got healed from a lot of the hurt through the scene as well. And so it's just brought the whole scene together, and particularly this year what we're doing with Operation Canaan, we're still praying, but we're going to be very mission orientated, practical orientated. And one of the things I spoke to the guys is about helping Andrew with the underground, practically how can we help Andrew. So because of the healing that came from that conference, a lot of the guys are saying, yes, I want to be there, I want to help, I want to be a part of it. So we're organising with Andrew a working bee to whatever we need to do, renovate inside, those sort of things. Also looking at, we're going to Singapore as a crew just to represent the Australian music scene, or the Christian music scene. And we're going to help the guys at Sonic Edge set up, pray, all that sort of stuff. Taking a few bands with us to Singapore. It's a 3-day festival. So that's more of a mission orientation. Which is going to be really cool, and a lot of people are excited about that as well. It's it's not inward focus, it's outward focus. We're going there to serve, we're not going there for ourselves, we're going to serve the guys there because they're just absolutely fantastic. A lot of them, they came down to the conference as well, they got touched by the whole thing, and so we've got a bit of a, let's say, divine connection in Singapore. We've got a bridge from Australia to Asia and Asia to Australia. And so, yeah, there's a lot of excitement up there as well about the Australian music scene as well. So we're doing that sort of thing with Operation Canaan, and just getting people really to start thinking out of themselves and actually helping the music scene in a practical way all around Australia. I think that's important. We need to get that unity again, and that's what we're basically creating. Just all together, let's get together, leave the past behind, whatever happened, let's go to the future, because God has got a fantastic future for the music scene, and he wants to be glorified in that the whole scene. It's his music, that's what it boils down to. It's not the world's music, it's not the devil's music, it's his music, and God wants it back. But he wants Christians to rise up and not be ashamed and go forward with their music just to glorify God and have fun. So that's pretty much what we do. Yeah.
Because like this is what, you know, I sort of formed out of that as well, so it bounced off that. And what about the national scene? Is there any way of connecting like this venue, like Melbourne venues and things like that?
I think there is. I think in time
in the future, like bands will do national tours and stuff.
That's the other vision that we're looking at as well, is how to connect now the states together. I think at this time, I think each state's got to grow on their own and form a strong base, and from there I believe that people will start moving across. But not only that, a lot of them are moving overseas as well, going, for example, in flight, they go to America.